Most people believe that confidence means speaking loudly, dominating the room, and never showing doubt. We grow up hearing that presence is volume and that security is immediate response. But the most powerful trait of true confidence is exactly the opposite of that. It appears in silence, not in noise. It emerges when everyone expects a reaction and you choose to remain unshaken. It is the ability not to react when they try to provoke you. It is remaining calm when someone pressures you for a rushed response. It is not explaining yourself when they feel you should justify every step. This posture seems simple, but it is rare. And precisely because it is rare, it carries a weight that few attitudes can sustain. Machiavelli understood something that still goes unnoticed today. Whoever controls their own reaction controls the entire game. Because the moment you react on impulse, you hand the other person the power to define your internal state. And whoever defines your internal state influences your decisions. That is where many people lose position without realizing it. If you have ever regretted speaking too much in a moment of tension, this video is for you. If you have responded in the heat of emotion and later realized that silence would have been stronger, pay attention until the end. There is a specific trait that completely changes the way the world perceives you. We live in a culture that rewards noise, speed, and immediate reaction. Whoever speaks more appears more confident. Whoever responds faster seems more prepared. Whoever displays intense emotion appears more authentic. But this logic is superficial. True confidence is not born from constant display. It is born from control of impulse, of timing, of emotional energy. It is not about coldness or indifference, but about discipline. Discipline to choose when to speak, when to act, and when to simply observe. And that deliberate choice creates a presence that does not need to compete for attention. Machiavelli taught that power is not in appearing strong all the time, but in being unshakable when it truly matters. There is a trait that separates the truly confident from the performatively insecure. This trait is strategic nonchalance, the ability to remain unperturbed under pressure without losing humanity. If you seek to develop a more solid presence and a silent authority that does not depend on applause, follow each part with attention. And if this type of content resonates with you, consider subscribing, leaving a like, and activating notifications. Because understanding this trait can change not only your posture, but the way the world reacts to you. We begin with the trait that reveals true confidence: control of reaction. Most people believe confidence means speaking loudly, responding quickly, and never leaving a provocation unanswered. But observe closely and you will notice something different. Whenever someone reacts impulsively, something invisible happens. Control of the situation changes hands. The reaction, which looks like strength, is often just exposure disguised as courage. And whoever exposes themselves too much gives away more than they realize. They receive criticism and immediately defend themselves. They suffer a provocation and feel the need to respond. They are ignored and try to prove their worth. These movements seem natural, almost automatic. But precisely because they are automatic, they reveal something dangerous. They reveal that the environment controls you. They reveal that any external stimulus has direct access to your emotions. The truly confident does the opposite. He understands that reaction is a subtle form of emotional submission. When someone manages to pull an impulsive response from you, they have also dictated your internal state. And whoever dictates your internal state dictates your posture. That is why the first step of true authority is not dominating others. It is mastering your own impulse. Every excessive explanation is a request for validation. Every overly long justification is a silent leak of authority. Every emotional outburst is an involuntary confession of lack of control. It may sound exaggerated, but think honestly. Does someone who is secure in their own value feel a constant need to explain themselves? Or do they simply observe, evaluate, and respond when it truly matters. Machiavelli understood something that few comprehend today. A ruler must not appear shaken, even when challenged, not because he feels nothing, but because perception shapes behavior. When the leader shows instability, the group feels it. When the leader maintains composure, the group recalibrates. The visible emotion at the top echoes throughout the entire structure below. When you do not react immediately, something curious happens. The provocateur loses the script they had rehearsed. The manipulator cannot find the lever they expected to pull. The environment enters a brief state of uncertainty. And in that small space of silence, you gain time. Time to observe, time to choose, time to turn impulse into strategy. The first one to lose emotional control almost always loses position. Not because they are weak, but because they revealed their vulnerability before understanding the game. Emotion exposed at the wrong moment becomes ammunition in the wrong hands. Meanwhile, the calmer person does not need to raise their voice. Their stability communicates something deeper. It communicates that they are not at the mercy of the moment. Reacting is easy. It is almost instinctive. Responding with measure requires discipline. It requires tolerating the discomfort of silence. It requires enduring the tension of not clarifying everything immediately. And it is precisely this tolerance that separates maturity from impulsiveness. While one tries to regain control by speaking, the other consolidates power by remaining centered. There is a huge difference between feeling and displaying. The confident person feels everything, but filters what they show. They understand that emotion is strategic energy. They do not waste that energy on every irrelevant comment or superficial criticism. They choose when to take a stand. And that deliberate choice creates respect even before a single word is spoken. Observe any competitive environment. At work, in arguments, in negotiations. The one who reacts first is usually defending something. The one who remains calm is usually evaluating something. This difference completely changes the dynamic. Defense communicates need. Evaluation communicates power. And people, consciously or unconsciously, align themselves with whoever appears more stable. This does not mean becoming cold or distant. It means understanding that not every battle deserves immediate combat. It means recognizing that emotional urgency is often a trap. When you do not rush to prove, explain, or correct, you send a silent message. The message that your position does not depend on instant approval. And this is where something even deeper begins to reveal itself. Because it is not only about containing reactions, but about the psychological effect this strategic calm provokes in others. When you become unpredictable in your response, something shifts in the mind of the observer. Uncertainty begins to work in your favor, and that is exactly where calm transforms into power. Human beings hate uncertainty more than they hate confrontation. When someone reacts in a predictable way, other people's brains relax because they already know what to expect. But when you remain neutral in the face of provocation, you create a mental gap. And the mind cannot tolerate gaps. It tries to fill them immediately, often with exaggerated assumptions. When you react, you become readable. You show where it hurts, what you fear, what you want to protect. But when you remain composed, you become an enigma. And an enigma generates something powerful. It awakens caution. It awakens curiosity. It even awakens a certain instinctive respect, because what is not easily read is not easily controlled. Predictability is comfortable, but it is rarely dominant. If everyone knows exactly how you will respond, they also know how to pressure you. Now think of the opposite. When your response cannot be anticipated, the other person must walk carefully. They must recalculate their words. They must measure their gestures. And that recalibration is already a silent inversion of power. There is a simple psychological phenomenon at play. People project onto others what they cannot understand. When you do not over-explain, when you do not rush to justify yourself, silence begins to work in your favor. The other person's mind fills that space with hypotheses. Does he know something I don't? Is she preparing something? Doubt begins to grow, and doubt is powerful. Because when someone doubts their own reading of the situation, they lose part of their self-confidence. Meanwhile, you remain stable. You did nothing extraordinary. You simply did not react. You simply maintained composure. But that stability begins to alter the emotional balance of the environment around you. Those who over-explain are usually trying to convince. And those who try to convince with urgency are often insecure about their own value. This is not judgment. It is basic human perception. The excessive need to prove something reveals that it is not yet completely solid internally. And people sense that crack, even if they cannot articulate it. On the other hand, those who do not chase validation create scarcity, and scarcity increases value. When you do not beg for attention, attention begins to turn toward you. When you do not demand recognition, recognition becomes spontaneous. Not because you manipulated anyone, but because you did not display neediness. And absence of need is magnetic. There is a gravitational force in strategic calm. You do not need to compete for the center of the room. You do not need to interrupt to be heard. Your presence begins to weigh more than the noise, and the less you seem to need collective approval, the more people begin to seek it from you, as if you were the fixed point. But something even more subtle is happening. When you remain neutral, you force the other person to deal with their own anxiety. They expected confrontation. They expected justification. They expected defense. When none of that comes, all that remains is the echo of their own intentions. And not everyone is prepared to face their own reflection without external distractions. That is why calm generates respect, but also caution. People begin to measure their words around you. They begin to observe more than they speak, not because you threatened them, but because your stability created contrast. And contrast is power. In an impulsive environment, the most centered person naturally stands out. Now think about situations in your own life. How many times has someone tried to provoke you expecting an immediate reaction? How many times would silence have been stronger than any sharp reply? Sometimes the real impact is not in the perfect sentence, but in its absence. And that absence can say far more than it seems. Strategic nonchalance is not contempt, it is energy control. You choose where to invest emotion. You choose when to speak and when to simply observe. And that conscious choice begins to turn you into a silent reference point. Not because you demanded respect, but because you made it clear that you are not easily shaken by external pressure. Perhaps you have already experienced this without realizing it. Perhaps you have remained silent in a tense moment and felt the atmosphere shift slightly. If that has ever happened to you, share in the comments what that experience was like. It is fascinating to see how small emotional decisions can completely alter the balance of power. Because in the end, calm is not just the absence of reaction, it is invisible strategy. It is psychology applied without noise. And when you begin to understand this mechanism, an inevitable question arises. How do you develop this discipline without becoming too cold or distant? That is exactly where the conscious construction of this trait becomes decisive. This point is essential. Nonchalance is not emotional indifference, nor calculated coldness meant to appear superior. It is discipline applied to your own energy. It is the ability to feel intensely and still choose what to display. Many confuse control with repression, but they are different things. Repression accumulates tension. Discipline directs strength. The first pillar is control of urgency. Most bad decisions are born from immediate responses. When you respond under pressure, you are reacting to the other person's rhythm. Pause is silent resistance. It breaks the automatic cycle and returns control of the situation to you. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. That is where power lives. Not responding immediately is not weakness. It is strategic maturity. When someone tries to rush you, they are trying to shorten your reflection time. And time is a competitive advantage. By creating a conscious pause, you observe better, think better, and choose better. Urgency almost always serves the one who provokes, not the one being provoked. The second pillar is emotional economy. Not everything deserves your energy. Not every criticism requires defense. Not every provocation needs a response. When you react to everything, you dilute your impact. But when you carefully select where to take a stand, your words gain weight. Rarity increases value even in the emotional realm. Imagine someone commenting about you seeking conflict. If you always react, you create a pattern. If you react rarely and only when necessary, you create uncertainty. This unpredictability is not manipulation, it is self-control. You make it clear that you are not available for every distraction, and that redefines your position in the dynamic. The third pillar is selective presence. Being available all the time reduces perceived value. Speaking all the time weakens the force of your words. Excessive exposure erodes authority. When you choose your moments, your presence stops being constant noise and becomes a meaningful event. Selective presence does not mean disappearing or ignoring responsibilities. It means not competing for attention. It means not striving to be noticed. Those who are secure do not need to prove themselves constantly. And when you stop trying to be seen, you paradoxically become more observed. But there is an important caution. Excessive calm can turn into paralysis. If you never react, never take a stand, you begin to communicate apathy. And apathy does not inspire respect, only distance. The balance is subtle. Power lies in choosing the right moment to act, not in never acting. Constant coldness also creates risk. People may interpret silence as contempt, and contempt generates silent resentment. Emotional discipline must be accompanied by social intelligence. Knowing when to soften, when to explain, when to humanize your posture is part of the strategy. Machiavelli valued adaptation above rigidity, cold in public when necessary, strategic in conflict, human when the situation calls for connection. The mistake is turning self-control into a permanent mask. Masks exhaust you, and anything too rigid eventually breaks under pressure. Developing this trait requires daily practice. It begins in small situations. A sharp comment, an unfair criticism, a look of disdain. Instead of reacting, observe your internal reaction. Feel the impulse but do not obey it immediately. This repeated exercise builds real stability. Over time, you notice something curious. The need to prove yourself decreases. The urgency to respond loses intensity. And the environment begins to treat you differently. Not because you demanded respect, but because your posture changed. And consistent posture alters collective perception. But here is the most important point. Power is not in never reacting. It is in choosing when to react. When your response is deliberate, it carries intention. It is not emotional discharge, it is strategic positioning. And conscious positioning has far more impact than any momentary outburst. Ask yourself honestly, do you react because you want to, or because you feel you need to? Are there situations where silence would have been more powerful than explanation? Reflect on this, and if it resonates, share in the comments a moment when controlling your reaction completely changed the outcome. Because in the end, strategic nonchalance is not about appearing strong. It is about becoming internally stable. It is about not allowing any external stimulus to govern your internal state. And when you master this art, you begin to realize that true confidence is not noise. It is choice. Choice of when to speak. Choice of when to act. Choice of when to remain silent. And it is from this conscious choice that lasting authority is born, the kind that does not depend on applause, does not tremble before criticism, and does not dissolve under pressure. Now we are ready to reveal the essence that has sustained all of this from the beginning. Throughout this video, it has become clear that true confidence is not spectacle, it is internal structure. It is not constant emotional intensity, it is stability under pressure. While many compete for attention, the truly confident choose control. They understand that every impulsive reaction is a small concession of power, and they decide that their internal state will not be governed by external stimuli. Controlling your own reaction does not mean suppressing emotions. It means not being dragged by them. There is a profound difference between feeling and being dominated by what you feel. When you create space between impulse and action, you begin to act with intention. And conscious intention always weighs more than any momentary outburst. Machiavelli understood that perception shapes behavior. When you remain stable in the midst of chaos, others recalibrate their posture toward you. The provocateur hesitates. The manipulator loses strength. The environment begins to treat you as a reference point. Not because you demanded respect, but because your silent posture imposed it naturally. Strategic nonchalance is, above all, choice. Choice of when to speak, choice of when to act, choice of when to remain silent. It is not the absence of emotion, it is the presence of discipline. And consistent discipline builds an authority that does not need to be announced, only perceived. But there is an important question that lingers. In which moments of your life did you lose power simply because you reacted too quickly? And in which situations would silence have been stronger than any argument? Reflect on this and share in the comments an experience where controlling your reaction changed, or could have changed, the outcome completely. Because in the end, the most powerful trait of true confidence is not dominating the room. It is mastering yourself. It is not about impressing others. It is about not being shaken by them. When you understand this, you stop competing for validation and begin building presence. And consistent presence transforms any environment. If this content helped you see confidence from a more strategic perspective, consider supporting the channel. Subscribe, leave a like, and activate notifications to continue exploring these ideas that unite psychology, philosophy, and personal power. Small decisions like this keep this kind of reflection alive. Remember, power is not in never reacting, but in choosing when to react. It is in remaining calm when they expect an explosion. It is in sustaining silence when they wait for justification. And when you master this art, you stop being driven by circumstances and begin driving the game with a calm that few can shake.